Do they destroy the stock market with increasing interest rates, or do they allow hyperinflation, or both? And frankly, I think both is the answer.
Here at Liberty in Finance, we're licensed brokers with Miles Franklin. We are standing by the inventory, ready to make sure you get what you need, even into the wee hours of night and on weekends, because preparedness doesn't stop. Call us 1-888-81-LIBERTY. That's 1-888-815-4237.
Hey everyone, this is Elijah K. Johnson with Liberty in Finance. And back with us today is Marine, naval aviator, and financial author Bob Moriarty. Bob, thank you so much for joining us today.
Why don't you ever call me when things are boring? You only call me when there's emergencies.
Well, you're one of our viewers' favorite guests, and we typically have our favorite guests on once a month, and it seems like things are moving faster than ever right now. So things are rarely ever boring at this time. So what I really wanted to discuss today is you've been predicting a market crash for quite a while. And back when we had you on in December, you said the crash has started. And I keep, every time we have you on, it's like I keep saying that you were right. And what we're seeing right now is a continued sell-off in the stock market. We had last week historically high inflation, the worst inflation we had seen in 40 years, and that's going by the official numbers. And we also saw the Fed then take historic action, the highest rate hike, 3/4 of a point there since 1994. So your take on what is happening right now? We're seeing the stock market have its worst week probably since 2020. We're recording this Friday morning, but your perspective on that?
It's only just started. The financial markets are so out of balance. It's going to get worse than anybody's dream. And I'll throw this in because every time I do an interview and we talk about cryptocurrencies, everybody comments on how old I am, how stupid I am, how I don't understand cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin is down 31% for the week. Okay. There's been more money disappear in the cryptocurrency markets than disappeared in 2008. When a financial market gets out of balance, you have to restore it to balance. And all of this was very predictable. I would love to claim guruhood, but first of all, I don't believe in gurus. And frankly, I think that anybody who would look at the numbers with the incredible margin debt and the bond market had a 40-year bull market and the U.S. dollar hitting new highs, a monkey could have predicted this.
What I think is very interesting is that what we're seeing right now is the Fed kind of being backed into a corner where they have to.
You're using the term backed into a corner, which implies they have some choice. The Fed painted themselves into a corner. Now, I was in the market in 1970s into 1980 and remember 18, 20% inflation. The Fed was trying to take action then, but if we have 8.6% inflation now, if Biden is doing everything in his power to drive the price of energy and food higher, inflation is going to go higher. And I think my prediction of hyperinflation has a very real chance of being correct. The Fed did not back its way into a corner. The Fed painted its way into a corner. And if you've ever done that, if you've ever paint it. I mean, everybody does it. I've done it. Start painting a room, and then you look down and go, I have no way out. And that's where the Fed is now. It doesn't make any difference what they do, okay? Do they destroy the stock market with increasing interest rates, or do they allow hyperinflation, or both? And frankly, I think both is the answer. The idea that Feds have some control, they're totally clueless.
I think it is very interesting to mention that it's possible that we might have both the hyperinflation and the stock market crash, because it seems like, yeah, the Fed is raising rates, and that's, kind of the catalyst for the stock market to fall here. But it's not like the Fed is raising rates enough to actually have an impact on inflation. If you look back at what happened in the 1980s, Volcker had to raise rates to double digits. I think 19% was the high there. So it seems like that's nowhere near what the Fed is going to be doing.
That's exactly the issue. There is a mathematical relationship between interest rates and inflation. And quite bluntly, whatever inflation is, in theory, interest rates should be higher. After all, you don't go to the bank and give your money to the bank in a savings account where you lose 10% every year. But that's exactly what's happening now. The Fed is faced with Hobson's choice. Hobson was an innkeeper in the 17th century in the UK. And when you went to him for a horse, he gave you the horse that was nearest the barn door. Now, it didn't make any difference if you wanted a plow horse or a race horse or a horse for a carriage. You got whatever horse was nearest the door. The Federal Reserve is so far behind the power curve. We're at the end of the empire. I mean, all this stuff that's related to Afghanistan, Ukraine, Syria, Iraq, the bond market, the stock market, the fake trials that we've got now, elections that don't work, judges that don't work, 10-day empire, okay? And one of the things that has to happen is they have to destroy the dollar. And interestingly enough, the dollar is hitting record highs because interest rates were so low, everybody borrowed dollars. So there's trillions of dollars in outstanding loans coming due, and people have to buy dollars to pay them off. So do you have any idea of how much the U.S. dollar went up today, Friday? It went up 1.1%. There is a $6 trillion a day currency market in the world. So when the most important currency changes 1.1% in one day, $63 billion just went to Bitcoin heaven. We're going to see things that you're going to come back 6 months from now and say, Bob, why didn't you tell us how bad it was really going to get? And I'm going to say, well, I was just afraid to.
That's what we're seeing right now, is people are kind of shocked at where we are right now with inflation and the stock market falling, kind of like a rock right now. And we have some viewers' questions here, and they're wanting to know about this. Like Steve is wanting to know, when will car prices come down? And James is wanting to know, where are these oil and gas prices going? It seems like there's the shock out there of, we didn't know it could get this bad.
When I was a kid, my parents tried to sell their home. This was in Texas in 1960, and it took 18 months to sell the house. We never considered a house an investment, because after all, it costs money to maintain the place. A house was shelter. Likewise, nobody ever considered an automobile an investment. But if you got a good used car now, you could sell it for more money than new cars cost. doesn't make any difference because you can't get the new car, okay, and you've got the used car. But that's what happens when you destroy a financial system, is things get totally distorted. Now, as to where energy costs are going to go, I think it's absolutely baked into the cake. Energy costs are going to not only go higher, they're going to go a lot higher. Russia exports 167 million something. Okay, I don't know what the unit is. We're talking about natural gas, but they export 167 million somethings a day to the EU. Yesterday, they cut it from 167 million to 67 million, and today they shut the gas to Italy and to France totally. We are seeing catastrophic things in action. And let me ask you a question, because one of the questions people should ask, is there a real shortage of energy? In all my books, I try to get people to understand that perfectly ordinary people know what's going on, and it's just a question of answering the right question. Now, the question is, and it's to you, is there a shortage of energy? I'm not saying a temporary shortage. I'm saying, are we running out of oil? Are we running out of coal? Are we running out of natural gas?
I would say no.
Absolutely no. Okay. But Biden shuts down the pipeline from Canada, which was stupid. Biden shuts down the drill permits, which was stupid. Biden shuts down all federal ground for new leases, which was stupid. And then he turns around and said, Putin made gas double. Well, Putin didn't make gas double. And the really strange thing is we put all these sanctions on Russia. Do the sanctions hurt the U.S.?
Yes.
Do they hurt Europe?
Yes.
Do they hurt Japan?
Yes.
Do they hurt Russia? Russia's making money hand over fist, okay? The price of natural gas in Europe is 500% of what it was. Well, actually, it's up 30% for the week, okay? Russia's making money hand over fist. Now, can you buy a McDonald's in Moscow? No, because the McDonald's bailed out. But when you do something, okay, when you make a decision, how important is it to make the right decision? If you make 100 decisions, I don't give a damn what it's about. How many of them are going to be wrong? A lot of them. Okay. Do you care? No. Okay. Because what do you need to do when you've made a decision and it was the wrong decision? Change the decision. Okay. It's not rocket science. Okay. It is human to err. We all make mistakes. The only serious problem is when you keep making the same mistake again and again and again and again. Now, clearly, and to the best of my knowledge, I'm one of the only people saying this, the sanctions hurt everybody except who they were aimed at. Now, when you go out on a hunting trip and you got a deer rifle, okay, and you got a deer 100 meters in front of you, and you point the rifle at your foot and pull the trigger, next time you want to make sure you point it at the deer and not your foot. It is only human to make mistakes, but when the eraser on your pencil runs out before the lead, God's trying to tell you something.
Definitely. I think a lot of people are concerned about what is just ahead and what is happening right now. And we have a viewer here wanting to know about relocating. And they're wanting your opinion on this. What parts of the United States would you suggest people relocate to weather the coming chaos? And I might even put another one here. Would you recommend leaving the country?
That's about 6 questions. Okay, let me start with the relocation. what would I do personally if I saw total chaos coming to the United States and was considering relocation? What would I do?
I know that you have relocated out of the country.
Ah, bingo. Okay. Barbara and I spent many years talking about this. I mean, it's nothing new to us. We knew the United States was headed down the wrong path 15 years ago. It's no surprise to us. So we moved out of the United States, and I'm not anti-American. I lived my whole life in the United States. However, the United States is absolutely going down the wrong direction. So would I consider relocation outside the United States? Absolutely. Second question is to limit it to the United States, and that's a two-part question. One part is where to avoid. I would avoid San Diego. I would avoid LA. I would avoid San Francisco. I would avoid Seattle. I would avoid Portland. I would avoid Cleveland. I would avoid Chicago. I would avoid Boston. And not because of the political aspect. Those are dangerous cities, okay? They've been poorly managed for years. They're doing what is popular rather than what makes sense. If you were to define democracy, and I said that it was two wolves and a sheep arguing over what to have for lunch, would that be accurate?
Pretty accurate.
Pretty accurate. Okay, another rule, another definition of democracy is mob rule. Okay, we have mob rule in LA, we have mob rule in San Francisco, we have mob rule in Portland and in Seattle. There's something in the water on the West Coast. Everybody's crazy. But the big cities are places to avoid. I would live in a farming community. I would live somewhere where you can get access to food 12 months a year. Eastern Oregon is good. Idaho is good. Believe it or not, somebody asked the same question yesterday, and I saw actually Arkansas and Tennessee, Western North Carolina, Kentucky. Those are all good. And the strange thing is that in all of those situations, the climate is not nearly as good as my climate here, and the ability to raise food is not as good as here. I happen to be in one of the most beautiful places in the world, in a farming community that's safe. You want to be somewhere safe. You want to have some ability to provide food for your family, and you want to stay away from big cities.
Definitely. And when it comes to precious metals, we have a viewer question here. Do you think right now is the last chance to buy gold and silver before it becomes, quote unquote, unobtainium?
Okay, first of all, anybody that's taken economic geology realizes there's no such thing as unobtainium. Half the gold ever produced has been produced since 1965 because they can heap leach no-seam gold. We're never going to run out of gold. We're never going to run out of silver. The only issue is going to be price. Now, my opinion, I want great big quotation marks on that. My opinion is that gold and silver and resource stocks will go up in June and maybe into July. The real crash is ahead of us. And when the real crash hits, it's going to take everything down. Now, you have to define what the role of gold and silver is before you can determine whether you should buy it today. What is the role of gold as it affects you personally in your finance? What do you want gold to do?
I think first and foremost, it's insurance, and I want it to store value.
The first and foremost role for gold, silver, platinum, palladium, oil, wheat, anything is to be a store of value. They are an insurance policy. They are something real. If you're given the choice between 1,000 Bitcoins or an ounce of gold, there's going to come a time you're going to say, 1,000 Bitcoins. I mean, that used to be like $60,000. But yeah, but now it's zero. Okay. Gold is first and foremost an insurance policy. Now, if you got insurance on your house, you got insurance on your car, do you want to collect?
Not at all.
Okay. So if you buy gold and it's an insurance policy, do you want to collect on the insurance?
No.
No, absolutely not. If it's an insurance policy, you could hide it underneath the bed, okay, and hope the mice don't get it. But it's an insurance policy first and foremost. Now, when you get into the issue of investing, that's a totally different issue. I think that any time is a good time to buy an insurance policy. Sometimes they're better than other times to be investing to make money. In my opinion, October, November will mark the low for virtually everything. And I'm climbing way out on a limb here. And actually, it doesn't make any difference whether I'm correct or not, because I make my investment decisions. Everybody else makes their investment decisions. So you have to do what makes sense for you. But in my opinion, I think October, November would be a great time to buy resource stocks, gold, silver as an investment to make a profit.
All right. Well, Bob Moriarty, we really appreciate all your insights today and your time. Before we let you go, where can our viewers find you online? And also, can you share with your viewers your investing books and where they can find those?
I will say your viewers pay attention, and every time we do an interview, there's a big spike upwards in the book sales. And I like that, even though I don't make a penny out of it. I donated the books to someone else a long time ago. But the books, I think, are $10 a piece. One of them is Nobody Knows Anything, and the other is Basic Investing in Resource Stocks, and they can be bought through Amazon. And quite bluntly, if you are going to risk part of your fortune in cryptocurrencies, in bonds, in stocks, in resource stocks, and gold and silver, it is the cheapest good investment you can possibly make is $20 to read the 2 books. And they're easy, simple books anybody can understand. I don't pretend to be a guru. I don't pretend to be an expert. They're simple books. Ordinary people can make intelligent decisions if they learn to think for themselves. And that's what I try to teach in the books. But the website, of course, is 321 Gold. You can put in Bob Moriarty and go to Amazon. I've written about 10 books, and they're all very readable. They're fun books to read. But the investment books, everybody who invests should read the 2 investment books.
Any last thoughts before we let you go, Bob?
You're going to be hard-pressed to call me up anytime soon, because when Bitcoin goes down 31% a week, you're just about at peak insanity. So, I'm hoping that the world sobers up one of these days. We will make it through this, okay? It's happened 5,000 times in history. We'll make it through this if people will do what makes sense. And I will say, while I'm on that tone, whatever you do, don't have a leverage position in anything. Don't take on any debt, and don't take on any margin.
All right. Well, definitely a time to play it safe. Thank you so much, Bob, for joining us, and God bless.
Anytime. It was a real pleasure. You have a good weekend.
Miles Franklin Precious Metals is one of America's oldest and most trusted bullion dealers. Miles Franklin is A+ rated and accredited by the Better Business Bureau, licensed and bonded, and has 0 complaints ever registered. Here at Liberty and Finance, we are licensed brokers with Miles Franklin. To order, simply call us, discuss your needs, and we will let you know our live inventory, prices, and availability, and lock in your order over the phone. Once your order is locked, the price is held for you regardless of market fluctuations, and the metals are reserved for you awaiting your settled payment within 1 business day of ordering. You will receive an email invoice detailing the order and payment instructions. Miles Franklin accepts payments by bank wire, ACH or electronic check, money order, check mailed priority mail, and cryptocurrency. The fastest forms of payment are bank wire and cryptocurrency. Upon settled payment, metals will ship out within 3 to 5 business days. You will receive tracking information via email. Domestic shipping charges are $15 for any order under 500 ounces of silver or 10 ounces of gold. For orders larger than that, domestic shipping is free. The package will be double boxed, fully insured, and labeled discreetly, with no indication of the contents inside. For your privacy, the name Miles Franklin will not even be on the package. To talk to myself, Elijah, my brother Kaiser, or my father Dunnigan, call 1-888-81-LIBERTY. That's 1-888-815-4237.